Hey, what's good, guys? My name is Chris.
And I'm Jody.
And welcome back to episode 3
Yes.
of WearTesters Unlaced. Sorry, I'm going to forget eventually what episode we're on.
And I'll remind you.
Yeah. How has your week been?
It's been good. I didn't even tell you yet, but we touched on in last week's episode on what does Jody do, like collecting wise, and we agreed that I don't really collect things, but I like to go do things. I secured a ticket for the newer musical 6. I don't get to see it till like January, but I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I didn't even know. This is my first time hearing this. I don't even know what that is.
It's a newer musical. It's won a bunch of awards, and it's coming to the Sacramento area early next year. So yeah, I secured that.
Who are you going with?
Melissa.
Oh, I should have known.
Yeah, you should have.
We'll have fun.
Thank you. How about you?
Well, I'm, currently doing my typical sweating as soon as the
It's not even that hot.
I get hot very easily. I run hot. I'm from the Bay Area. This Sacramento weather is not for me. I'm fine though. Cut my hair.
It looks very nice.
Oh, don't bullshit me.
I told you earlier it looked nice.
She prefers my hair longer. I don't. But I cut it. It's just too hot. I feel like Pedro out here. Shout out to Napoleon Dynamite for all you guys that think I just threw a name out there. But yeah, there was a thing. But yeah, other than that though, I guess we'll just get right into it. So this is our sneaker news segment. Essentially, we just pull from the internet sneaker news and we will just give our quick thoughts on things. We're not going to pull everything, obviously. There's lots of news. I only really pulled the stuff that I'm interested in. I think I'm going to have you start grabbing a couple yourself.
Okay.
Just so that it like balances things out. Because I know that we talk about, well, I mean, the channel started with what I wanted to talk about, like 14 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we want to keep things balanced and stuff, or at least I do. So we'll start doing that probably next week. I just thought of it as I was speaking. So that's how things work sometimes.
Yeah.
But essentially, we grab our news from Instagram over at Sneaker News or Z Sneakerheads. So the first one is, I am excited for this, even though I did talk a little bit of on Instagram in my story about them, but the Air Jordan 12 in original white and red colorway is coming back for the second time. And you would think that after all these years we would have gotten more retros of this particular colorway, but we have not.
I'm shocked because all I hear is about these things.
It's my favorite, and I know that you guys are rolling your eyes right now, but
I'll do it for them.
Right, but like, there's certain shoes in the Air Jordan line that are my favorite, and then there's colorways that are my favorite, and the Air Jordan 12 is much like the Air Jordan 13, where every original colorway is my favorite because I love them. But if I was going to sit down and like, you can only pick one.
That's the one you saved from the burning building.
I don't like that scenario.
I'm just saying, there's a room full of 12, so you can only take one. The house is on fire.
Are my kids in the house too?
No, it's just in this perfect world scenario where unfortunately your house is on fire and it's full of Jordan 12s.
I mean, I guess, but that scenario I just think is whack because when the house is on fire, you don't know what's about to happen. But anyways, if I were in a room like at a Foot Locker and they were all on shelves and I only had enough money for one pair of the originals, it's the white and reds that I would go for. So I'm just excited just to get a pair again to wear. Could they be better though? Definitely. Next up, we got a new pair of Kobe 4 Protros. They're being dubbed the Black Mambas. Obviously, it's another snake themed colorway. Kind of tired of that, honestly, when there's so many original colorways that they can dive back into and get. But for an all black sneaker, it doesn't look half bad. The materials are the thing that kind of surprises me the most. They actually look nice. They don't look like they're synthetic or anything like that. It very well could be, but for the images, I don't see them as synthetics. It looks like real nubucks and stuff. So I wouldn't say I'm excited for the shoe. I'm just excited again, kind of like last time when we were talking about the reverse Grinch, where I'm excited for other people to be excited.
I was just surprised that they're going back to the 4 again. I thought we're on the 8. So why aren't we putting out more colorways of the 8?
That's the thing with the Kobe Protro line that is irritating, is that when they started, obviously Kobe was still here. So they started with the 1, and then you would think that they would go, I don't know, maybe in chronological order.
Never.
Yeah, and they didn't do that. They jumped from the 1 straight to the 4. But then they would technically discontinue the shoe and then move on to the next Protro, which would be then the 5 and then the 6.
But I mean, that's what Jordan Brand does all the time. So maybe they're trying to emulate that, where they're just like, we're going to drop colors of different stuff all the time.
That's the thing that I'd be afraid of. Like, do I want to emulate a brand that's like not good? You know what I'm saying?
They're still getting lots of money, so.
I know, but like so do strippers. It doesn't mean that like what they do is great. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're not like saving lives, but they get paid a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's like money doesn't equate to greatness. You know what I'm saying? So like there's plenty of bench players on a literally at the end of the roster that make millions and do nothing. So there's always that guy on a championship team where it's like, how many minutes did you play that season? I don't think that that is like the greatest thing. Like you should be there to push things forward and push the envelope, especially since that's what he wants. Like that's what he wanted. And you're not fulfilling his legacy. I'm just weary. I just hope that people, like I said, that weren't able to get a pair can get a pair so they can play in them and they can continue at least that legacy on a basketball court, kind of like keep his name alive in that sense. So if all else, even if the brand is doing some weird shit, I hope that that stays as like a thing. Next up, we actually have something that I am very excited for, talking about like rehashing the past and stuff like that, or like going back to. We have another version. This is the third one of this colorway in this form, but it's the Air Jordan 1 Low in the true 85 cut. So like we've had the Air Jordan 1 Low OG back in 2014, 2015. I'm probably getting the name, or not the name, but the dates wrong, but we've reviewed them on the channel. I use them as examples when comparing them to the current OGs, Low OG. The previous one was made pretty good. Obviously the tooling's different, but that was like something that we can get all past, but the upper looked great. Then there's the new OG Low that's the current one with everything all f***ed up and weird, and then now they're like going back again and like talk about second chances. Like this is their third or whatever. And so yeah, so like in the comment section of like these posts online, it's interesting to being like, didn't these just come out? Because like the casual fan doesn't know. They just see the Jordan 1 Low and they're like, yeah, it's the Jordan 1 Low. Like they're not like dorks like me about it. You know what I mean?
Did they put lows out in 85?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only two, I think. There was, oh no, there might have been three. Or actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know. I think there might have been only two. Might have been the white and metallic blue, and then the white and the gray.
Okay.
Which is what these are. But I could be wrong. I could just be remembering the retros. I'd have to go back and like double check. But either way, the shoe itself, the shape is supposed to be more like the original. They added that eyelet back that they removed on the current retro. It's supposed to be like the 85 highs, where it's as close to the OG as possible. Even the tooling is the same.
Well, that's why I was asking, like, is it supposed to be the high, but now they've turned it into a low because people like low tops. So I just wanted to know, like, was it a part of history or not?
It was a part of history. This is the shoe that was supposed to be releasing when the last batch released. And for whatever reason, this is based off of what I was told, things got up in translation because of COVID, and they couldn't like actually go overseas to visit the factory and be like, no, like this is not what it is, like it needs to look like this. And so what ended up being the low that we currently know as the Air Jordan 1 Low OG, they just kind of were like, well, like you have to keep on schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they just went with it. And like I said, that's just what I was told by somebody internally over there. I think we did talk about this last week, where it's like, just redo your schedule.
Well, we talked about stretching the calendar.
Right. And that's what I mean by like this brand is like, you have a legacy to uphold. You have a tagline to, you know, quality basketball products for the greatest player ever. You've got the GOAT himself, like talks about like his work ethic and greatness and this and that, but then the brand itself doesn't exude anything of what this person is. It's like almost like the opposite. So I'm excited for the shoe. I just find it weird finally that it's like coming like this. And then on top of that, I just got in the Vibe Remake Lab handmade ones. That
was my problem when I saw that we were going to be speaking about this. I was like, I already saw this.
No.
And
it's not even that shoe. It's like the nicest bootleg essentially that I've ever seen. Yeah, and I haven't done a video on them because I'm trying to wait for the actual release. I just want to see them. Yeah, I just want to see them side by side. The shoe itself does look good based off of images, but I don't know. I'd have to do a lot more like deep diving into like the original pairs, and that's the problem with a shoe like that, where it's like, was that even an original thing? And like the answer is yes, but it's so rare that it's hard to find not just images, but like an actual pair of them. So like it's one of those things where I would have to really deep dive to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely like the OG, like they did a great job or not. But either way, I'm excited for the shoe. But yeah, I just find it funny, the comments, because that's the confusion that the brand has then brought upon itself, which is like, haven't these already dropped already? So like, do you really think people are going to rush out to buy that when they think that they already had it?
Right.
Marketing, very bad over there right now. They can't seem to tell a good story, like a real one. It's been interesting. Let's just say that. Still staying on the Jordan 1 train. Got the yellow ochre.
Have you decided that's how you say it? Nobody corrected us. We got a handful of comments on how I can't say the word praline, but nobody came in and was like, it's ochre or...
Yeah. Either way, I think the colorway is cool. They remind me of the black and yellow one with the black panels on the inside, but white base, which is what I prefer. I prefer the white ones. So, or I wouldn't say the white ones, the home, like the Chicago kind of color blocking. Those are my favorite. So I really like the way that they look, but what do you...
I like them. Again, I'm in yellow season or something. I don't know.
You're just pumpkin spice 24/7?
Basically. Give me your yellows, give me your oranges, give me your greens. Like, I will like it. I'm just in that mode right now. So I enjoyed, like, when I saw the photo come through on my phone for this is our itinerary today, I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I don't have to poop on anybody's parade.
That's my job, apparently. So now it's time for that segment of the shoes we didn't review. And I actually have a good reason why I didn't review these, and it's because we've got two super old school relics right here from a brand called Avia or Avia. I don't ever know how it's pronounced properly. They're actually made by two different companies, by the way.
Can I trade you?
No, I picked these ones on purpose.
It feels weird to hold them.
I know, but I wanted to highlight some things that are on the shoe, so that's why I have the opposite pairs that you normally have.
Okay.
So I apologize. But basically, we've got two models. We've got these low tops. These are the 855s. They're kind of like numbered like New Balances. This brand is old, by the way, so like this is pre-Nike, pre-Jordan, and all that stuff as far as like their heritage goes. But yeah, and then we've got these ultra high tops. These things are massive. This is called the 880. This is just...
It's as long, like high as my head.
Bro, they're just heavy, you know what I mean? Like, especially compared to this one, like these are just wild. I think that the low top model, at least I believe, this is why I didn't review them, because I don't know a ton about this brand. I just wanted to check out that they were back, but this is before my time. And I don't mean that I wasn't born yet. I just mean that I wasn't really like into shoes. And by the time that I was, this brand was gone. I just don't really know anything about them. So I'm not really comfortable pretending. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like get up there and talk about these as if like I know when like I don't know. I can tell you what the tech is and things like that, but anybody can know that because that's why I have these sides. Because these actually, unlike other brands, they come with the booklets like the original products did, and you can open it up and it'll tell you all about, you know, the performance features that they implemented into them. They both have it, which is really cool because again, these are both made by two different companies. So like to see something like this come back, whether it was well received or not, I'm not sure sales wise, but I just thought it was really cool. I wanted to check them out for myself. So, you know, obviously that's what I did. I'm gonna pull up or actually go ahead and let people know your thoughts on them. I know that you might not care, but just do that while I look for this thing real quick.
Well, for one, they are really heavy, very heavy. Like you fall in a pool, you might never come back up to the surface in these.
You trying to sink a body in the river? You put them in those joints?
You can Velcro them in so they're not coming off, like you're good. These actually, I brought shoes downstairs too, and these look very much like what I was gonna share.
They're from that era.
Yeah.
So that's an 89 model.
I can see that.
So that's why, I mean, I think Scotty wore these when he first came into the league as a rookie, but then he was quickly transferred over to Nikes and stuff.
They swooped him up.
Yeah. Okay, so I found this. So there's two different accounts. There's Avia or Avia, and then there's Avia is back. So like this one, the lows, I bought from Avia. That website's a US based website. They actually are owned and operated by the same company that owns and operates And One. The lead designer, Kyle, that designs a lot of the And One stuff, actually was in charge of recreating this shoe, which is very cool and very interesting. Quality wise, like it's real leather, but it's not like premium or anything like that. They feel all right. They still feel performance driven, which is interesting. So like when you get these in, it's kind of like an 85 cut Jordan, where the leather, while it is leather, feels very stiff and like thick, because it is. So like they're trying to replicate that era. The other tech that's in here is just a EVA wedge. So this is actually the cut and buff
that Aaron was speaking about, Aaron Cooper.
Right. So we had him on the show last week, and he was explaining the origins of EVA in footwear, compression molded EVA to be specific. So this stuff right here is cut and buff EVA. So it's just kind of cut into a shape and then they buff it so that it just makes sure that they fit into the cup sole or whatever it is that they're putting it into. That's what these are. This company is also selling this model and a couple of others, but this version right here is from Avia is Back, and these are true to the originals, which the other one is not. So like the shape of the other one is a little bit different. They're not as high cut. Some would say that that's maybe a good thing. Like maybe you would say that. Maybe my legs would say that. I don't know. Because I did try these on, and these are just, they're just crazy. So it says, this is a screenshot from Avia is Back, but it's saying that they're addressing the current situation regarding the project, which this was. So these actually came in like a different style box, more like the original. They were numbered, so one of 1,000 and everything like that. So that's how I got them. This is the box for the red pair. The Avia is Back box is like way different. Obviously it has to be because it's got to fit like this behemoth of a shoe. But yeah, Avia is Back was born through the European license of the Avia or Avia company with the aim of developing the most iconic silhouettes of the brand in their original shape and materials, made by and for collectors and lovers of the retro sneaker. Different than the red pair. The licensing for this shoe is owned by two different places, essentially.
I didn't know you could do that.
Me neither, but it's kind of like, the way that I interpret it at least, is kind of like Netflix, where you have your US contract and its rules and regulations, but then that's different from overseas. So like what overseas viewers of Netflix get as far as content goes is way different than what we get here. Like they'll get some shows that are not on the Netflix platform in the US. So like if you were to get one of those VPN things,
yeah,
and like change your IP to an overseas IP, you'd see like totally different but that's basically what it is. So it says, on the other hand, the same American company, seeing the interest of the public towards these products, has dedicated on its own, taking advantage of our communication work. So basically like what these guys have done to hype up the brand, they're claiming that the American company swooped in and was just like, oh, we'll do this too. You know, it's a cutthroat business, sneakers. It's not just Nike, it's every brand. So let's see, because they took some shots here. They said, blah, 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 to launch the same models in much lower quality in terms of materials, silhouette, level of detail, and focus to its quote unquote Walmart audience. Like that was a big diss. So that's what they're claiming this product is that this is Walmart level quality, which I would, I know, which I would strongly disagree with. Walmart shoes don't feature leather like this, you know what I mean? I will say that the shape of this shoe is not like the original. It could definitely be better. The fit is off too, like they're too tight for me. This one is definitely a better shoe, the high top, but like I said, I don't have any true connection to these, so like I wouldn't wear either one. But I did want to check them out and all that stuff. I just didn't want to give a review and not do it justice, because I know that there are fans of these, and so yeah, I just didn't want to like disrespect anybody, you know what I mean? Now Mrs. Wing actually has a couple of pickups that I think we've sort of reviewed on the channel. I know that we've reviewed one. For sure. One of them was in another video.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but I reviewed the legacy version.
Oh, this is true.
So yeah, and then I compared the two.
My pickups are basically the 550 New Balance, and I had tried to get a pair I think around this time last year. They had a pumpkin colored one. Not only was I settling for half a size too big, because that's all they had, but then their system went down at the Foot Locker and they couldn't take our money. So I was just like, okay, it's not meant to be. And I've been kind of sour about it ever since. But then it rolled into like summertime, and I don't want to wear shoes during the summer, but I'm trying to embrace fall, even though Sacramento's like, haha, it's gonna be 95 degrees. So I've been preparing for fall, and I was just like, okay, these shoes are still around and I want a pair of nice white clean looking shoes. So I settled with this color. I don't know what this color is.
It's like khaki.
It is like khaki.
It's like the praline. It's a praline New Balance 550.
And it also has that cut and buff EVA.
Yes, it's got an EVA wedge. We've reviewed the shoe. It's a cool shoe.
Yes.
I feel like it's really slender.
It is. So that's the thing. I again needed to make sure what size I was. So like I had the lady go back so many times. I hate doing that. And finally I was just like, okay, size 6, I can do it. There's still a little extra space. It's just I'm definitely wearing shoes. I'm not wearing Birkenstocks is how I feel when I put these on. And then I turned around and I saw these beautiful little ladies the 574 and I put these on, and it felt like I was putting on Birkenstocks, but it was a tennis shoe. And then all of a sudden the lady, I think you were buying another pair of shoe too for a future review that we're doing, and she was just like, are you guys paying cash or card? I can take you guys right here. You don't even have to go up to the register. And by then I was just like, I don't even know if I want the 550s anymore, but I made you do so much work for it. So here I am talking about my shoe purchases.
Do you like them?
I do still I do still really like them, and I'm excited to wear like fall outfits, but I'm really excited to wear these.
These are a cool colorway. I like this one. They're both a cool colorway,
Yeah.
but this one's just got a little bit more color. So after doing the shoes we didn't review, we figured we would balance it out a bit with our favorite shoe that we did review. So basically our favorite video that we made or uploaded within the last week or maybe two, because we skipped last week for time
That's
purposes.
true.
I'll just go first just because it's the freshest in my mind.
Please do, because I am not prepared.
You're not prepared yet? Okay. So my favorite video that we uploaded has actually been our most recent upload, at least as of the time of this filming or recording, but the Air Jordan 38 performance review done by our guy Alan. He did a great job. He's been doing a great job. I think that getting a shoe and actually playing in them, like for real, and then giving your thoughts on the performance and your experience is very cool. Obviously, I started this like 14, 15 years ago. So obviously I think it's cool, but to be able to pass the torch to both Alan and Jackson and have them, like take on the work that I had started on the channel and continue it has been very cool for me, just to see and see how they've been evolving every video and things like that. So I've been enjoying it. Plus it's just great to get performance reviews from people that actually play basketball, to get a performance review where the shoe was thoroughly, like legitimately tested. It doesn't look like brand new on the screen.
Not that traction.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've been doing this for so long that I've seen lots of different content creators, and some of them do a great job. Some of them you can tell are just faking the funk and trying to get clicks and views and stuff like that. So I just like that we're still continuing what we started all those years ago with fresh faces, and they're doing a great job. And so hopefully you guys support it, and I think that they're doing great. So that's my pick.
Well, for my pick of the week, since we can only go a week back now.
I said two because we missed last week.
I know. Well, this one falls within that time frame. I'm going to give myself a shout out. And it's
How very Jody of you.
I know. It's the Air Jordan 1 women's praline. I need to look up how you're supposed to say this word. The person who corrected me, she did it in the most sweetest way possible, but she still didn't.
It was funny though.
She still didn't say like it's actually pronounced this way.
Oh, like when they spell out like the enunciation.
Phonetically.
Yeah. So I thought that she did like.
No.
But now that I think about it, yeah.
So
she tried though.
Yeah, thank you. But anyways, that was just a fun video because I hadn't done one myself in quite some time and still get the same nerves. It's very, very hard to, like this I'm fine with. We're both on even territory right now and it just feels like a conversation. Same with back when I would show up in the end of the videos. I'd still like, we're right there. There's nobody staring at me behind these cameras right now. It's just a whole different vibe. Anyways, it was fun to do a little token video where I was in charge for once, and I always like having you be the background voice. Like I think that's fun. Like it's a different dynamic.
I always just try to be quiet because like, even when we're doing videos like this, like we go through the comments a little bit to try to get a little bit of feedback, like actual criticism, like that's constructive, not just the criticism. It's hard to separate them sometimes, but like I think it was like last week you asked me a question about something, I think it was the collecting thing, like for you, and you presented the question to me, and then I remember like going back and being like, shouldn't you answer this? And I
said, no, the question was literally directed at you. Hey Chris, what does Jody collect that you have to deal with? Like,
right. Oh, so, I guess maybe that was the question. But yeah, and then reading through the comments of that video, somebody was like, not as nice. They're like, let her speak. And I was like, but she asked me a question.
Right.
So like, it's one of those things where if I'm in the background, I'm not trying to say anything because otherwise somebody's going to try and twist everything and misconstrue it and stuff like that. You know, like the typical like bullshit Twitter thing. But then when you started talking about nut meat, like I was like, you can't can't not say something about that.
I was just reading what Google told me.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it was the nut meat where I was like, dude, that's awesome. But yeah, so I just try to be quiet. I try not to interject or anything like that, just because if I do, somebody's gonna have a problem and all that stuff. And I understand that you can't please everybody and stuff. I get that, but like,
he's also a sound guy. He doesn't like it when people start talking on top of each other. I think that was something that would irritate you back when I would watch a lot of daytime television. So like The View would be on, and he's just like, they're just people on top of each other the entire time.
I mean, I don't have anything wrong with, or like I don't mind the people. It's when they do what you're saying, and I'm just like, can you, like, I don't know, have a conversation?
Take turns.
Right. Timeout. All right, so the timeout segment. If you've been watching the last 2 episodes, you already know. Maybe you're anticipating this part. This is my favorite part of everything. This
Mine too. I get to sit back and relax,
not do anything. Yeah. So this is the part that's my favorite. I'll either show pickups that are recent, or I'll show stuff that is not recent but I think is awesome, and I just want to talk about it. So the first thing that I'm gonna show is literally a brand new pickup. I found both of these things at the same time, by the way. I found them over at Target, but this is the Riddler from McFarlane's Multiverse collection. I think that this is outside of like Mafex and Figuarts, and then I think I said like NECA and Super 7. McFarlane is by far like my favorite thing right now for the 7-inch like basic, or these aren't basic compared to like what we used to play with as kids. By we, I mean like me and boys. I don't think that you played with action figures. You played with like Barbies.
My neighbor, like when you show off the turtle shells where they open, like I played with those.
Oh, the storage shell turtles?
And I remember he must have had normal ones too, because I remember we would move the belts around on the different characters.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
So you did play with some of them then.
Yeah.
Oops. I hope that didn't mess up the mic, but oops. But yeah, so as far as like 7-inch stuff goes, it's like really like this line, the multiverse line for DC, and then Marvel does their own thing with Marvel Legends with Hasbro. The Hasbro stuff I do usually like. I'm looking at one right across from me, and I have plenty of them, but I like the multiverse stuff from McFarlane a little bit more. I just think that it's the way that they make them, like where it's like, this is like comic accurate, you know what I'm saying? So actually not this one. I actually have a story about this. This I grabbed because I saw him and Robin, which I'll show you in a second, but I grabbed them and I was like, oh sick, I finally found Robin and Riddler. So I grab him, and then we get home and I started looking at him and I see this little platinum sticker on there, and I know about the gold label stuff. I never even knew that there was a platinum thing, and so like I was like, what does platinum mean? And then I started looking at him and I was like, I don't think this is the Riddler that I've been seeing, that I've been like wanting, you know what I mean? So then I looked up, there's this Instagram account called Toy Shiz, where like that's where I get all my action figure news and stuff, and I thought that my Riddler would look more like that, where like he had the question marks all over his suit, like the old 60s TV show. And this one does not look like that.
Wouldn't this be considered the fancier version?
So that's the thing. So like, you know how there's like hype beast for Sneakerheads? That's what like the gold label and apparently this platinum thing.
Which is bigger than gold.
I guess, yeah. But like, so this is an ultra rare, out of the line as far as this character goes. It's essentially a repaint. They call them chase or variants, where it's like a chase figure or a variant figure. But yeah, so like this is an accidental pickup where if I would have saw this next to the regular one that I thought that I was getting, I would have gotten the regular one. I'm not a hype beast with anything apparently. Like I don't know. So like I just like what I like, and so yeah, I got home and I was looking at him. I was like, why does he look weird? Like that's not his suit, you know what I mean? And so yeah, so oops. But either way, I thought he was cool, so I got him anyways, and so there's that. And then the second one that I got is this Tim Drake Robin. He's opened, obviously, because he's awesome. I could not wait to open him. I did wait until my son got home because we like to mess around with them together. But I still have the box. This is from Robin Reborn. Like I said, they do a great job of like trying to recreate from the comics and stuff like that. These are not the original issues or anything like that, but this is like just some of the stuff that I have. These are like more recent pickups. My actual originals are in storage right now in like bins, but I have like the first couple of issues, and then I saw these at this place called The Cave that's here in Sacramento, and I could not pass up. Talk about variants. Like I have 2 issue 2s variant covers. They still do this today. I got 2 issue 3s, both different covers, and they all had the hologram card on there, which I love. And so I think that Tim Drake is the best Robin. I think that Dick Grayson, the original Robin, is my favorite character, the Nightwing character, but it's because how awesome he is, how you got to grow up with the character. It's very rare in comics that you get that. Like Batman's Batman, and he's been Batman forever. No pun intended, actually, with the movie, which is an underrated Batman film. So there's that, and then like Superman. Superman's just been Superman. Like obviously we've had Elseworld stories, but Superman's always Clark Kent. he's always Superman. That's why I like Miles so much, because he's like a refresh version. You know what I mean? It's for like the new generation. Peter can only be a teenager for so long, and then they've done that where they grew him up, and then they were like, well, maybe we should bring him back to his roots or whatever. And so they like restart the line, and it's like, but I just was invested for like 300 issues. You know what I mean? And so I like that the Robin character is like a mantle that gets passed down and stuff like that. And I think Tim is the best one. Like, Damien's fun. He took a long time for me to get used to because he's a little ass. It's also funny as to see a little like 9-year-old just murking people, you know what I mean? So it depends on who's writing him and what story it is. But overall, I feel like Tim is the best. He's the greatest detective besides Batman. He figured out who Batman and Robin was without any bat computers or anything. Like, he's a smart kid. They've been recently changing his story, who he is and stuff like that. In the most recent comics, again, they try to keep things new and fresh. But the original one that was from those books that I just showed you, the Robin Reborn line and what's called Robin 2, is just awesome. Even though he's not the second Robin. I always thought that was weird. Jason Todd was the second one. And he wasn't even that bad. I don't know why people hated him so much, but they literally voted for him to get killed. And so that's why there was that death in the family story arc. So yeah, that's weird. And then speaking of passing the mantle down and things like that and epicness, I just figured I'd pull this down from my room and show it off. The 90s was such a cool time because you had redesigns, that refresh. Sometimes it would be the same character, sometimes it would be a different character. But this was clearly not Bruce. This was a different guy. This is Jean-Claude or Jean-Paul. That was what it was, not Jean-Claude. I'm thinking of Jean-Claude Van Damme. But yeah, I just really love this suit. And then Mafex is the company that made it, and they come with so much cool stuff and like effects. Like, it's got like, he shoots batarangs out of his gauntlets, which they later then used for inspiration with like the Batman Beyond. He literally shoots them out of the tech suit. But you know, they have like this thing that you plug into his gauntlet, and it literally looks like it came out of the comic book, and it's so cool. It's got like wire in his cape, so you can actually like make it do whatever you want. And like, could you imagine like a Spawn like this with a wire cape? That would be so sick. And as far as like a unique storyline, the Nightfall storyline is really cool. So if you have not read it, I would recommend it. You can get it in graphic novel form or single issue if you want to go hunting.
Graphic novel, I feel, is the way to go.
I know that collectors prefer single issues, and I do for certain covers because I love the artwork. If you're trying just to read the story, go graphic novel. It's so much easier. You get it all in one binding cover.
Yeah, it's a better bang for your buck.
It's just better because then you have the book. So we don't have a fun trip or anything like that to talk about, or a guest today, but we did go through our Discord community, which is like one of the greatest things that maybe we've ever done, which is set up this community of like-minded individuals, and we all just hang out in this weird forum space, and some of us outside of that too. We've done WearTesters hoop sessions with our Discord community members and all that stuff, but they're the ones that really like fund this channel, so anything that you see is directly because of those people, so we're like forever indebted to them and super grateful and stuff. So we went ahead and pulled them, kind of like an Ask Me Anything thing. And so you've got everybody's, not everybody, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Oh, I know.
So we pulled some of the best ones that we definitely wanted to talk about.
I pulled one from YouTube as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you screenshot it?
I did.
Okay.
So you want me to try and read names? I've done this before and I've butchered them.
You don't have to say the name, but just,
okay,
you know, because we'll show the person's comment or question.
Okay.
And, but you can read the actual question.
Okay.
And then make sure that you let me know if it's for me or for both of us or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one is definitely for you.
Make sure that it's clear so that I don't get roasted by some jerk in the comments.
This one is definitely for you.
Okay, thanks.
If you had to only play in one shoe for the rest of your life that was released before the year 2000, what shoe would it be?
Okay, it's a shoe that I do grab regularly whenever I go and like just play for whatever. When I'm like,
for the rest of your life.
Yes, it's literally the shoe that I grab like every time. Like when we go to the park, like I grab this shoe.
Yeah.
And it's the Air Jordan 13. I just love that shoe.
That's cutting it real close to the year 2000.
No, it's not. It's 1998.
Yeah, very close. Y2K is in its future.
If I pick the Jordan 14, then that's cutting it real close. But like, it's a great shoe.
Yeah.
It's got everything. When I say that like it's hard for me to pick between the 12, 13, and 14, like they're all kind of interchangeable within that like top spot of like best Air Jordan to play in, that's that.
They're your children?
I wouldn't say they're my children, but they're all very similar. The 12 is maybe the tankiest. So like if you don't like to break in something, then don't pick that shoe. It's got the longest carbon plate.
Yeah.
So like that's the one that will like, sometimes people are like, oh, it's so, and I get it, but like you got to put in a lot of time with that one. If you don't want to deal with that, get the other two, like the 13, 14, they're fantastic.
Well, speaking of your children, as your children get older, do you intend to like weigh in on if our kids should get into sneakers? If they started developing a taste for the hype stuff only, would you let them stay on that course, or would you try and steer them away?
I don't feel like I do anything. Like, maybe you're better off answering that because you're the outsider, like looking in. Like, you can explain like how I approach it.
He definitely is very much into them because it's like something they get to bond over when they're picking out their new shoes. And especially if it happens to be more in the basketball category. Like, for a long time, both kids were very much into wearing Currys. This was when they were much younger, though. You were just watching Curry do an interview, and he was talking about how great it is that like kids naturally seem to gravitate towards his shoes, and he was just like, I get to like grow with them.
That was on the complex sneaker shopping.
Yes. Our daughter, she's a senior in high school, and so she's always been very opinionated on her shoes. I think the thing that hurt him the most was when she got into twinkle toes when she was little. The Skechers thing.
It didn't hurt me, but like it was just a like, are you sure you don't want some Jordans?
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
No,
it was one of those things.
The one that really hurt him was she wanted a pair of Mary Janes, and we could only find them in white, and he was just like, they look like nurse shoes, so what are you doing? But like for a while she was like wearing LeBrons, and then she did a really big phase with Jordan 1s. Our son now name drops colorways of shoes, and so he's loving that. But neither of them have ever been like, I want this collab. Like, that's just not...
The most specific, I guess, that our son gets is the Spider-Man.
Yes.
Or the Spider-Verse stuff. I don't know if that's necessarily considered a collab. It kind of is, but like, it's more of an attainable, to the credit of the brand.
Yes.
At least in his size, not in my size.
Right.
But like in the kid's size, it's a little bit easier to get.
Yes.
And so... like the first Spider-Verse shoe that he did have, we were just at the mall that day and we walked into Shoe Palace and I was like, oh, hey, look, they got the Spider-Man shoes. And he was like, oh, like, and so he got them in his size, and it was simple. And then the second one, we actually got them locally. Well, we got both of them locally, but that one was like a little harder to get just because like at that point, like the hype was kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
And so people start snatching up any size. But luckily we have friends, and so they were able to help us out in getting a pair.
Our daughter did do a pre-order. It was between Converse and it was some musician,
I don't remember what
rapper.
those are though.
I don't remember either, but that was something where she had to get online for it, and I was like, who are you? And it was...
Oh, was it Tyler, the Creator?
Yes.
Okay.
And so she was very particular. Like, you got to pick all the different panels because it was a pre-order and it was special. But I think that's like the most hype beastie shoe she's ever gone after. I don't know if that even falls into it properly.
But either way, like if they're trying to get us to buy them hype beast shoes like that, like an Off-White or some weird that's like got crazy resale value, then like get a job and go get it yourself.
Right.
If it's like, hey, like when it's time to get your new shoe, like when he name dropped the white cements or the fire reds, like I was like, yeah, you can get those, you know what I mean? Like, I would love it if you would wear those things. So yeah, I don't try to pick their shoes or anything like that. Like, I will try to nudge them a little bit, but not anything crazy.
This is one that I picked because I thought it was fun. I will direct it at you. I already know my answer. What is a favorite food that I like that you don't like?
I was thinking about this and I don't know if I know.
Because it is hard. Like, we really do like eating a lot of the same foods. Like, it's our kids that makes it difficult.
Yeah, I would say there's just certain flavors of things, like pumpkin. I don't like that. I don't like, what's that stuff that you drink at Christmas? Eggnog. I don't like even the smell of that shit.
In a house full of eggnog people, and he's just like, can we stop buying this? And we're like, no, we need more.
It smells so funny, dude.
It's
like,
so
I just
good.
don't like it, you know? So there's that. You like a lot of seafood that I don't really like.
Oh, my favorite pasta is a seafood pasta. It's so good.
Yeah, so it's just stuff like that. I think it's kind of normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing extraordinary. Like, it's not like you eat, like, I don't know, like something like really weird and far out there, and like, and even then, like I try that stuff anyways.
Yeah. If anything, you've broadened my horizon to foods.
Oh, I mean, I guess. Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of is like pumpkin flavors, not a fan. Seafood, not too much of a fan.
I think where we differ, which is where my answer is going to come in, is desserty type things. I love pie. I love cake.
I don't like that mushy fruit stuff.
Like for birthdays, we got to get him a cheesecake because
cheesecake is fucking bitchin', bro.
So my answer was candy. He loves chewy candy.
Yes.
Dots.
Oh, anything.
But
really.
No, like dots in particular.
Are the one that you can't stand.
I'm like, why? You like digging all of that stuff out of your molars for like the next 2 hours? Like,
no, it just like you leave it there for later.
And it's not even satisfying. So,
oh, it is.
But yeah, so it works out though, because I won't buy all of these delicious cake pastries because otherwise I'm the only one eating it. And then
oh yeah, I don't like cake.
He just doesn't like cake at all. He doesn't like cupcakes. He doesn't like cake. He likes bundt cakes. That's something I finally got him. But it has to be from Nothing Bundt Cake.
Those are like oddly moist.
Yes.
And so they have like a savoriness to them. In addition to the sweet.
But he buys like bags full of Starburst. And what's the other one you really like? The kids love it too.
High Chews.
High Chews. And I have zero interest in it. And
I used to smoke like cigarettes, and so I guess you would call it the oral fixation. That's what the chewing is for me, like, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to sit there and chew gum all day.
Right.
So at night when I sit down and I'm relaxing and I'll play like Fortnite, that's
all I hear is unwrapping and popping.
Yeah, like that's when I'll get a little like not
and the smell of mango will drift past me.
Ugh, I can't stand that. You like mango, I can't stand mango.
I do, but I don't like that chewy type of candy.
But yeah, like I'll take a little handful and put it on like whatever I'm sitting on, like right next to me, and I'll just eat those while I'm playing Fortnite. And I haven't even smoked in like, I don't know how long, like since like how old is our son?
He's gonna be 10.
Yeah, so like at least
that,
10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's just something where like I kind of like need to do it. So that's all. But I agree, she does not like any of those things, and it's very rare.
The last time I had one of your candies was a Starburst, and I had taken one, and I choke on everything. I took a single bite, and the way that my saliva and the juice hit each other, I almost died.
It was awesome in a funny way.
Does it matter if the designer of the shoe is a sneakerhead? Sneaker Bar Detroit was discussing this on their last episode, and it seemed interesting. Should there be a separate line of shoe for performance or lifestyle? Are they all the same?
I always find that interesting because I don't want to put anybody down, but like just so this is going to be a generalization on consumers as a whole, not an individual pointing a finger saying you're an idiot, right? So please don't take this the wrong way. But I guess if we keep this in the athletic umbrella, like a basketball shoe for a basketball player, a lot of times these basketball players will be like, oh, that guy right over there, like doesn't know, he doesn't play basketball. Like when you go back and you think about somebody like Aaron Cooper or Tinker Hatfield, Eric Avar, these guys are not basketball players. They might be athletes in different sports. Tinker was like a runner. Outside of that, like what do they know about basketball? And I've talked to these guys and they don't play basketball, but they're observant. And it's kind of like what are those people on the sidelines that they just announce? Are they just announcers?
I guess so.
So like those guys are like analysts, right? Like a lot of those analysts never play basketball. Like Stephen A. Smith, like he might chuck up a few shots or something, but is he like a hooper? Like, I don't think so. But they understand the game, so they can talk about it. It's a different mindset, and I think that there's a time and a place always for, hey, I'm a great basketball player, and I'm also highly intelligent with footwear and the body, the foot, its mechanics, all of this stuff. And so I can sit here and develop a basketball shoe made by a player for a player. I think that that's cool. But does that happen often? No. And it's because athletes are usually different mentally than a designer. Like a designer is like an art nerd. Those people historically have made some of the best performance footwear we've ever seen. And these are not basketball players. So no, it's not necessary. It's not a requirement. You know what I mean? If you're doing a performance review and you're clearly not a basketball player, but you're sitting here pretending that you are, like that's something where maybe you can question that. But like as a designer though, like your job as a designer is to take a concept, take an idea, take a problem, and then find a solution for it. And that's what these guys do. Why would you stop them from doing that? Because they don't play basketball, or they're not a runner, or whatever. Like when it's like literally, like I'm telling you, like historically, look at the shoes and look at who designed them, and there's usually no correlation between the sport that they're designing for and themselves. There is no intersection in that way. And it does not matter, because a good designer is a good designer.
This one's more of a personal one. What movie was playing in theaters when we all met?
Well, I know that we saw Just Married.
Good job! That was our first in-theater movie that we watched.
Like that was like our first date.
Yeah.
I don't know what else was in theaters.
I do.
What?
Only because...
was like the prequels in theaters? The Star Wars prequels? Or was that after?
That was after. So we met working in a movie theater together. And I don't know how you were hired, but I was hired as part of a huge batch of hires.
Yeah, that's how they did it.
Because
Group
it was going to be
hires.
Christmas season.
Oh, well, that's just how they did their
No,
hiring.
I understand that, but like there was like at least 4 batches
rounds,
of
yeah.
people, and so like I was a part of one group, and I was hired in November of 2002, and so I was there for the second Harry Potter movie, Lord of the Rings, the Tower movie.
That's one of the nerd movies I don't watch.
No, I know, but so I was there and I feel like back then, that was like a special time in movie theater life where like the Christmas season was huge. COVID has put such a damper on it where like you're lucky if there's like one big movie. Catch Me If You Can was a big one at that time, and I only remember that because I
Was
went...
Spider-Man 2 coming out?
Not during that Christmas season.
Oh, that's right. You're saying November.
Yeah.
Okay.
So into December, like I went and looked up the December, like what were the big Christmas movies, and I was
Okay.
just like, yep, because I remember I went with a friend. One of the perks of working at the movie theaters is you got free movie tickets, and so I had taken a friend to see Catch Me If You Can, and you were working, and you...
That's a great movie.
It is. You walked me out of the theater and you asked me to go on a date.
I thought you asked me to go on a date.
It's a little convoluted. I had definitely been badgering you about asking me out on a date. And that was you finally being like, you want to go hang out next weekend?
Yeah, because I don't do that. I don't ask people on
But
dates.
that was you taking the initiation finally.
I guess.
So-
I don't remember that, but
I do.
I thought that you
I was
asked me.
giddy all the way home.
I thought that you kept saying like, when are you going to take me out?
Yeah, and that was you being like, hey, so you want to like hang out
Oh, okay.
next weekend?
I think I had a girlfriend when we met though.
He did. Hence
So-
the badgering. Don't do that. It was very tacky looking back on it, but I'm glad I did it.
Oh, on your part?
Yes.
It's like you were hitting on me, even though I had a girlfriend.
know.
Yeah. Damn.
I know, but she didn't have a face. She didn't work with us. I didn't know her.
Damn. That makes it sound worse.
I know. Well, that's the thing. So now we have a daughter of dating age, and I'm like, don't be like that. That's so not. Don't do that. No, we didn't do anything though. We did not do
No, no,
anything.
no.
He broke it off with her, and then that's when we started talking, as they say.
I worked a long time at the movie theater, trying to pinpoint like,
When did you start? Like, what season of life?
bro, I don't know.
Was it hot outside?
Bro, I can't remember. I'm telling you, like,
My first time seeing him was the first time I went to work wasn't actually for a work shift. I was going to a big company meeting, and he was being promoted. And so that was like the first time my eyes locked in.
so,
Are you gonna blush?
no, 'cause I'm trying to think.
So you'd been working there long enough to become
I got
a
promoted.
supervisor.
Yeah, I got promoted in like 3 or 4 months.
Wow, that's good. It took me a year to be promoted.
Mike had told me, he was just like, yeah, this doesn't really happen this fast. So like you do like good work and all that stuff. I've always been like a hustle kind of worker because I grew up poor. So like I'm trying to like not make like a name or nothing, but like I'm just trying to move up so I can make as much money to live. And I was not yet on my own, I don't think.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to. There was so much stuff that happened back then. So like I'm like, I feel like I've lived many lifetimes.
Yeah. So you probably got hired in the summer is what I'm getting at.
Because I was there for like Spider-Man 1.
I was there for Spider-Man
Star
2.
Wars. Okay, yeah.
But that wasn't like right when we met. That was later. Like our first comic book movie we saw in theaters was Daredevil. So that's another one where I'm like, oh, my heart.
That's what I mean, though, is that movie, like, I don't remember watching it necessarily with you.
I don't think you saw it with me first. I think I was working, so you came in with your friend to watch it while I was working.
See, I don't even remember that. I worked in booth at the time.
Oh, and you probably just watched it a bunch up there?
I watched that movie 17 times because...
The soundtrack to that movie is like, oh my gosh.
The Evanescence
Yes,
song.
the Evanescence
But yeah, like I would go around and I would start everybody's movies.
Yeah.
And then from there, you don't have anything to do for a couple of hours. I would just pull up a stool and I'd be like watching it from where it comes in, like from the projector. And yeah, and I would just watch Daredevil. And like next to me was the big tower with the sound.
I was going to ask, do they have the sound
Yeah,
up
so
there?
you can turn it on inside so that you can make sure that it's all working.
Oh.
That was right when they switched over to digital discs for the sounds. So I would turn that on just enough to where it wouldn't bother anybody like sitting on the other side of the wall. But yeah, and I would just sit there and watch Daredevil every time. I just loved the movie. I know that people don't like it, but I think it's awesome.
I like it.
The director's cut is way better than even the theatrical cut, and the seesaw scene does suck. So it is what it is. But you know, not every movie's perfect. They were flirting in a weird way. But yeah, so my whole experience at the theater was like, it just, I don't know, like it's all like one big blur. It feels
I know. It's weird because like I said, I was hired in November and it was my senior year of high school. So it was all of that, and then it was my graduation in that summer, and I am on the younger side as far as like when you're in school. So like I didn't turn 18 until way after I graduated, and then I became an official adult, and I was in this serious relationship, and then we decided to move in together with each other, and then we got jobs as apartment managers, and I was like, all right, I'm out of the movie theater. And to think all of that basically happened in just over 1 year, but it feels like it lasted so much longer.
My whole life is like that, where there's like decades or whatever within the decades, even though it's, you know, that's not how it works, but it's like compartmentalized, like there's like eras, if you will, of life.
Okay, buckle in. Last question.
Okay.
But it's a whole paragraph to get there. A topic I find interesting is the fact that as consumers, many of the things we complain about, we are not willing to do to like fix them. For instance, we all complain about how hard it is to get the shoes we want, but every time a mainstream pre-order shoe comes up, people freak out about the lead time that it takes until they can have it. People want better materials, but when well-made, good material shoes show up, people complain about the increased price. Is this just a constant where we just want something to complain about, or will issues like this ever really be solved?
You want me to answer that?
In short, people as a whole just like to complain and and whine, and it's just a good old time. Like, who doesn't like to just sit down and complain about?
I don't want to do it.
Like, air their grievances. It's literally a part of Festivus. Like.
Yeah, but it's not something like I don't sit to do a review and be like, I can't wait to rip them a new butthole.
No, and that's definitely, I think, where our channel differs so much compared to other channels, where like there's the channels where they're just like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, blah, blah, blah. We're not that channel for you. Like, we're very honest, but I also teeter.
That might be honest to them. I think that that's something that's interesting in and of itself, but maybe that's a different topic.
Maybe, but I also know that especially when it comes to the smaller brands, where I'm like, I don't want to give them negative because I don't want to feel like, but at the end of the day, we're still like, this could be better.
Well, I mean, because product is product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, product is faceless. I know that there's people behind it, but like nothing that I say, especially if it's criticism, never is directed towards the person. Because I also understand the hoops that they have to jump through to even get that product to market. You know what I mean? Whether it's a retro or a new model. So I understand the struggle on that side. A lot of times, though, what people don't see is just that there were decisions made that were not by those people, that they were made by higher ups. So a lot of times if I say something like, oh, I wish that this was like this, or this should look like that, or whatever, I'll get hit up by somebody that worked on the project, like hands-on worked on it, and they'll be like, I was trying so hard to do this, this, and this, and you know, this dude over here kept blocking me or whatever, and like that's just business, you know what I'm saying? And so it's not like when I'm complaining or critiquing or whatever, I'm not necessarily talking to like the design team. I'm talking to the people that make the overall decision, that force the design team to work with what within that parameter.
Right.
And a lot of times that higher up is just trying to save like 3 cents here or $5 there or whatever. And then,
well, because in their brain it isn't 3 cents or 5 cents. It's spread across all of those.
well, a lot of times it's not even necessarily that. It's that by saving all that money and by redeeming it all back and then some with profit, then you get a bonus. And so that's the thing. It's like a selfish thing. And so you're putting yourself before the product. And that, like, your job at the company is to put the company first. That's why they pay you.
Right.
That's why you get the bonus. But the way that mainstream corporate businesses work currently is that it's less about the product and more about the shareholders. Like, oh, like they're the ones that we need to show them that their investment is worthwhile. So that's where that whole side of problem A even occurs. And then there's the problem B, which is us as consumers, which is, yes, I agree with you. People do like to just and complain and piss and moan and stuff. Like, you see it in every industry everywhere, whether it's film or music or TV or anything. There's people that do what you were saying, where maybe they do really think that everything is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're just that hyped to get whatever it is. But then there's the other person where it's like, you don't sound like you even like this. Like, why are you doing it? And so like we talk about like people that review like movies or TV or whatever. It's like, bro, like, do you even like Star Wars? Like, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just weird to me to see that kind of thing. And so, but I do try to understand when there is actual criticism. And then that's why when I do a review, like, I'm trying so hard to give facts, which is like the tech information and the material information, and then I'll drop in my opinion too and be like, I wish that this, and that's just me personally. It's not like a collective thing. I'm not speaking for anybody. It's just me personally. And then as far as like consumers as a whole, I think I told you this story already. I won't name the brand, but like I walked into their headquarters and they had this room, and it was, I don't want to call it the showroom, but it was kind of like that, where like one wall was a peg wall and it had all the product on there on the pegs, and then the other wall had the same thing, same products, but different. And I walked over to the one side and I was like, why is all of the same product like different like this? Like, this same shoe that's on this wall feels like shit, and then this shoe over on this wall feels elegant. Same model, not a different shoe, like same shoe made differently. And they were just like, oh, that wall over there is the UK stuff. Like, that's what gets sold overseas. This side over here is the American wall. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean, the American wall? And they were like, yeah, US consumers base their purchases off of hype and color and not necessarily value. And so we charge X amount of money because they're willing to pay for it, and they'll buy as much garbage as you sell them because you tell them it's cool or they think it's cool or whatever. And then this other wall for all the UK customers, all of these people over there will not buy anything unless it's done right. Handmade, hand-stitched, crafted with premium materials, all of this stuff, because they care about their money. They care about quality. Americans care about looking like quality, even if they're not quality. So when that's always the generalized consumer mindset, nothing's ever going to change, because over here we're all arguing with ourselves. I mean, like, oh, this is garbage quality. And then this guy's like, nah, man, I spent $240 on it. Like, that is bussin', or I don't even know if I'm using that word right, but like, you know what I mean? Like, that is like dope to me or whatever. And I'm just like, bro, just because it's $240 doesn't mean shit. You want to send us out?
Sure. Thank you for being a part of today's episode 3. If you missed the last 2, there's a playlist that you can go check us out on and get all caught up there. But I guess until next week,
we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Or we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, we'll still have our regular videos. Mondays will be fun. After that, I don't know what's happening next week, but we will be back on Friday. So you can see us doing this type of spiel for episode 4. So until then,
peace.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys.